You spent money on those raised beds. You built them, you filled them, you planted in them, and something still went wrong. Maybe your plants look sad. Maybe nothing grew the way you imagined. Maybe you keep losing money every single season and you cannot figure out why. Here is the truth nobody tells you up front: it was never about your seeds. It was never about your soil brand either. It was about 7 quiet mistakes that most gardeners make before they even put one plant in the ground. And the worst part? These mistakes look completely normal. They look like the right thing to do. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what they are, why they are draining your time and your wallet, and how to fix every single one without spending a fortune. So do not skip ahead, because mistake number 4 is the one that catches almost everybody off guard. Welcome back to Earthly Gardening, where we make growing your own food simple, smart, and easy on your pocket. If you are new here, so glad you found us. This channel is built for real gardeners working with real budgets, and we are happy you are here. Before we get into it, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a tip that could save your garden and your money. It takes 2 seconds and it genuinely means the world to this community. Alright, let us get into it. Mistake 1: choosing the wrong location. Let us start at the very beginning because this is where most raised bed problems are born. Before the wood is cut, before the soil is bought, before a single seed is even picked out, people make a decision about where their bed is going to live. And that decision is almost always based on convenience. It is close to the back door. It fits nicely in that corner. It looks good next to the fence. And none of those reasons have anything to do with whether your plants will actually grow there. Your vegetables are not interested in what is convenient for you. They are interested in light. Most food crops need a minimum of 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight every single day. Not filtered light. Not partial shade with a few bright patches here and there. Direct, uninterrupted sun for the majority of the day. And when that does not happen, your plants do not suddenly adapt and figure it out. They just grow slowly, produce poorly, and eventually give up. The fix for this is completely free and it takes about 10 minutes. Before you build anything or buy anything, walk your yard at 3 different times of the day. Early morning, midday, and late afternoon. Watch exactly where the sun falls and for how long. You might be surprised to find that the spot you had in mind sits in shade for half the day because of a tree, a fence, or even the shadow of your own house. Find where the sun is most consistent and most generous. Build there. Even if it is less convenient. Even if it means a longer walk with your watering can. Your plants will reward that decision every single season. Mistake 2: making the bed too wide. This one feels so minor when you first hear it. People brush past it all the time. But I want you to stay with me here because this mistake does something sneaky. It does not kill your plants outright. It just makes everything harder than it needs to be, and it damages your garden slowly over time in ways you never directly connect to the width of your bed. When your raised bed is too wide, you have to reach into the middle to do anything. To plant. To weed. To harvest. To check on your seedlings. And every single time you do that, one of 2 things happens. Either you lean in so far that your arms and back pay the price, or you actually step into the bed to reach the center. And the moment you step into a raised bed, you are compacting the soil under your feet. Compacted soil pushes air out of the spaces between particles. Roots cannot move through it easily. Water drains poorly. The whole point of a raised bed, which is loose, aerated, easy to work soil, slowly gets defeated by your own foot traffic. The rule here is simple. 4 feet is the maximum width for a raised bed you can access from both sides. That lets you comfortably reach the center without strain. If your bed is pressed against a wall, a fence, or any surface where you can only access it from one side, cut that down to 2 feet wide. Not 3. 2. Because you will eventually need to reach the far edge and it should never feel like a stretch. If your current beds are already wider than this, do not panic. You can add a simple stepping stone path through the middle, or just be very intentional about never stepping directly into the soil. Mistake 3. Ignoring what goes underneath. Here is where things start to get really interesting. Most people focus all their energy on what goes into the raised bed. The soil, the compost, the amendments. And they completely ignore what is happening underneath the bed before any of that goes in. No liner. No base layer. Just the bed frame sitting directly on the ground with nothing between your beautiful new soil and whatever was living in that ground before. This creates two problems that show up quietly and then all at once. The first is weeds. Whatever is growing in your ground below does not stop just because you put a wooden frame over it. Grass roots, weed seeds, and established root systems push straight up through the bottom of your bed and start competing with your plants from underneath. You end up weeding constantly and wondering why your bed seems to attract more weeds than anywhere else in the yard. The second problem is pests. Depending on where you live, burrowing insects and small animals can come straight up through an unprotected bottom and eat your crops from the roots down. Before you add a single scoop of soil, line the bottom of your bed. Cardboard is one of the best options available and it costs almost nothing. Wet it down, lay it in overlapping sheets, and let it sit. It blocks weeds and pests immediately, and as it breaks down over the following months it actually feeds your soil and encourages earthworms. If you have serious pest pressure in your area, hardware cloth laid across the bottom before the cardboard adds another layer of protection that lasts for years. Pause here for just a second. If any of these first 3 mistakes are hitting close to home for your garden, drop a comment below and tell me which one. I read every single comment on this channel and I genuinely want to know what you are working through. Also, if you have been finding this helpful, go ahead and tap that like button right now. It helps more people find this video and it keeps this channel going strong. Alright. We are getting into the second half and this is where things really get good. Mistake 4, filling with the wrong soil. This is the one I warned you about. The one that catches almost every gardener off guard because it sounds like something they already know the answer to. Of course you need soil. Of course you bought soil. What could possibly be the mistake here? The mistake is in what kind of soil and what combination goes into the bed. There are 2 very common approaches and both of them quietly cause problems. The first is people who dig up soil from their existing yard or garden and use that to fill their raised bed. It seems practical. It is right there and it is free. But regular garden soil is not designed for raised bed conditions. Inside a contained bed, it compacts over time into something closer to clay. Drainage slows. Roots struggle to penetrate. After a season or 2, your soil becomes almost solid and plants sit in waterlogged, oxygen-starved conditions. The second approach is buying bags labeled specifically as raised bed mix from a garden center. And this sounds like the right answer. But a lot of commercial raised bed mixes are mostly composed of bark, peat moss, and filler material with very little actual nutrition. Plants grow in them, but they get hungry quickly and start showing deficiencies within a single season. What actually works is a blend you put together yourself or source intentionally. 1/3 quality compost, which provides living biology, nutrients, and organic matter. 1/3 coarse material like perlite or coarse horticultural sand, which keeps the mix airy and draining freely. 1/3 good topsoil to give the mix weight, structure, and minerals. That combination stays loose, feeds your plants consistently, and continues improving over time as you add to it. The difference it makes compared to straight bagged mix or straight garden soil is honestly remarkable. Mistake 5, crowding your plants together. Every gardener has done this. You have a limited space, you have a long list of things you want to grow, and so you plant everything just a little closer together than the label suggests. You tell yourself they will work it out. They will share. It will be fine. It is not fine. When plants are crowded, they spend their energy competing instead of producing. They are reaching for the same light, pulling from the same pocket of nutrients, and drawing from the same water in the same small area of soil. The stronger plants win that competition. The weaker ones fall behind. And instead of a bed full of healthy productive plants, you end up with a few dominant ones and several struggling ones that never quite deliver. Beyond the competition, crowding kills airflow between plants. When leaves are pressed together and air cannot move between them freely, moisture gets trapped. That trapped moisture is where fungal disease starts. Powdery mildew, blight, and rot all love a crowded bed because there is nowhere for the dampness to escape. The spacing guides on your seed packets and plant tags are not just suggestions. They are based on how large that plant actually grows at maturity and how much space its root system needs. Follow them. And if you want to grow more in a limited space without overcrowding, look into the square-foot gardening method. It gives you a grid-based system for fitting a meaningful variety of crops into your bed without the chaos. Mistake 6. Watering at the wrong time in the wrong way. Watering feels like the most straightforward part of gardening. Plants need water. You give them water. What could go wrong? But how you water and when you water matters far more than most people realize. The most common habit is watering overhead, meaning standing with a hose or watering can over the top of the plants and letting the water fall down across the leaves and eventually reach the soil. And doing this in the middle of the day when the sun is at its peak. Here is the problem with that. Water falling on leaves under strong afternoon sun evaporates before it even reaches the roots. You are using more water and delivering less of it where it actually matters. Meanwhile, water sitting on leaves in hot conditions can also encourage certain fungal issues and disease pressure over time. The better approach is to water at the base of your plants, at soil level, in the early morning. Morning watering gives the moisture time to soak deeply down to the root zone. Any water that does splash onto leaves has the entire day to dry off naturally before cooler evening temperatures arrive. Your plants get more of what you give them, and they stay healthier in the process. If you want to take it a step further, a basic drip line or soaker hose is one of the most impactful investments you can make for a raised bed. You do not need an expensive automated system. A simple soaker hose laid along the base of your plants and connected to your existing hose delivers water directly to the root zone consistently and slowly. Water use drops, plant health improves, and you spend less time standing in the garden with a hose in your hand. One more thing on watering. Before you water on any given day, push your finger about an inch into the soil. If it still feels moist, wait. Your plants do not run on a schedule. They need water when the soil is ready for it, not when the clock says it is time. Mistake 7. Never replenishing your soil between seasons. The last mistake on this list does not hurt you today. It does not even hurt you this season most of the time. It hurts you quietly in the background and then hits all at once when you start a new season, do everything the same as before, and wonder why the results feel weaker than last year. Here is what happens. Every crop you grow pulls nutrients out of your soil. That is just the biology of how plants work. They take what they need from the ground to build leaves, stems, roots, and fruit. When you pull those plants out at the end of the season, those nutrients leave the bed with them. They do not come back on their own. But most gardeners treat their raised bed soil like it is permanent. Like it will always be as rich and productive as it was when it was first filled. They pull out one season's crops and put in the next season's plants without putting anything back. And the soil slowly becomes more depleted. Yields drop a little each year. Plants look a little less vibrant. And nothing seems obviously wrong because it happens gradually. The fix is simple and inexpensive. Between every growing season, add a 2 to 3 inch layer of aged compost across the top of your bed and work it gently into the top few inches of soil. That is it. That single habit replenishes the organic matter and nutrients that the previous season removed, reintroduces beneficial biology, and keeps your soil structure open and alive. If you want to go further, plant a cover crop during your off-season. Something like clover, buckwheat, or winter rye grows in your bed during the rest period, protects the soil surface, and actually fixes nitrogen back into the ground. When you are ready to plant again, you turn the cover crop under and it breaks down into food for your next harvest. It costs almost nothing and it builds better soil every single cycle. Your raised bed soil is not just a growing medium. It is a living ecosystem. Feed it between seasons and it will feed your plants for years. So there you have it. 7 raised bed mistakes that look completely harmless but quietly cost you money, time, and harvest season after season. The beautiful thing is that every single one of them is fixable without spending a lot. Most of them just need a small shift in how you think about your garden. If you found this helpful, please share it with someone who is just getting started with raised beds. You might save them a whole season of heartbreak. Subscribe to Earthly Gardening if you have not already, because we drop practical tips like this every week, made for real gardeners working with real budgets. Leave me a comment below and tell me which mistake you are going to fix first. I will see you in the next one.